Howard carried the mental image of the fields with him always, like a memory of a nightmare, boarded windows daubed with obscenities, smoking teenagers loitering in the perennially defaced bus shelters, satellite dishes everywhere, turned to the skies like the denordered ovals of grim metal flowers. He often asked rhetorically why they could not have organised and made the place over. What was stopping the residents from pooling their meagre resources and buying a lawnmower between the lot of them? But it never happened. The fields waited for the councils, district and parish to clean, to repair, to maintain, to give and give and give again. Howard would then recall the Hope Street of his boyhood, with its tiny back gardens, each hardly more than a tablecloth-sized square of earth, but most, including his mother's, bristling with runner beans and potatoes. There was nothing, as far as Howard could see, to stop the fielders from growing fresh vegetables, nothing to stop them disciplining their sinister, hooded, spray-painting offspring, nothing to stop them pooling themselves together as a community and tackling the dirt and the shabbiness, nothing to stop them cleaning themselves up and taking jobs, nothing at all. So Howard was forced to draw the conclusion that they were choosing of their own free will to live the way they lived, and that the estate's air of slightly threatening degradation was nothing more than a physical manifestation of ignorance and indolence. Pagford, by contrast, shone with a kind of moral radiance in Howard's mind, as though the collective soul of the community was made manifest in its cobbled streets, its hills, its picturesque houses. To Howard, his birthplace was much more than a collection of old buildings and a fast-flowing, tree-fringed river. For him the town was an ideal, a way of being, a micro-civilization that stood firmly against a national decline. I think this book is trying to parody Howard's opinions and his view of these council estates versus the rural community that he himself lives in and has grown up in. Howard seems to give himself and the rest of his community too much credit in when he praises the cobbled streets and the abbey of his own town, as if anyone alive in the community currently had anything to do with building those things and making it as beautiful as it is. But a community of people is something that exists through generations over a long span of time, and over those generations there is a kind of moral spirit that is expressed in the buildings and especially in the upkeep and maintenance of these buildings. People who are tidy and conscientious tend to have children who are also tidy and conscientious, and that's reinforced by the behaviours that are drummed into them by their upbringing. So what happens is that you do get this kind of generational effect of having these picturesque towns that are well maintained, and the people who live in those towns weren't just born there by accident and taking credit for it. There is actually a sense in which the people who are born there do deserve to live in a nice place, because it's not just their birthright through an accident. They have the moral character that is responsible for creating and maintaining that space.